Hello and welcome to Spinster's Library. I'm Claudia. This is Bill. We have been watching a lot of TV lately.
Don't say it like that. Say it in a way that makes us sound cool and like we don't watch TV all the time.
We have been watching some culture. We want to talk about what we've been watching on TV. And we'll start with something that we saw last November, I think, when it came out. And that's Wednesday on Netflix. I very much grew up with the Addams Family. You didn't so much, even though you were also the right generation for it.
Yeah, I mean, I was aware of it. I wasn't obviously building my whole look and character on Wednesday Addams in the same way that you were.
I did.
What's all this? Your cousin It.
I had a picture of Wednesday Addams in my wallet, which is a normal thing to do. And so when Wednesday was announced for Netflix, I was very excited about it. And we ended up watching it. What did you think of it?
It's alright.
It takes the character of Wednesday Addams, obviously, out of the Addams family and puts her in a boarding school. I liked it. I thought there was a lot that wasn't great about it. Mostly every single male character. I thought it was fun, but it's the sort of show where you shouldn't think too much about it or it stops making sense, which is actually very much the standard for any Addams Family film. It was very pretty. I mean, all of the costumes were great. Like, the show looked really good, and it made me want to crochet a lot of black and white checkered vests. What did you think? As someone who's not in love with Wednesday Addams like I am.
I thought Thing was good.
Thing was the best. Uncle Fester's appearance was pretty fun. I thought Wednesday's sidekick was pretty cute as well. What was her name? I've already forgotten.
Yeah, she was good.
It was like an old name, wasn't it? Like Ethel or something.
I like...
Enid.
Enid, yeah. I like getting Christina Ricci in as well for the teacher role.
Yes.
I thought she was good.
Yeah, Christina Ricci, who plays Wednesday Addams in the 90s films, was in as a teacher. I thought, now I can't remember the name of the actress, but who played the headmistress was incredible. I'm looking forward to season 2, and I hope that they make the horrible love triangle plot go away. But it was fun. I mean, my expectations weren't particularly high, and we had a good time watching it.
Yeah, it was alright. I'll give it a...
Oh, are you rating these?
I'll give it a 21.
Out of?
I haven't thought of that.
If you're rating it out of 10...
Oh, out of 10?
Yes. I'm between a 6 and a 7 probably.
Yeah, I mean, it's 7.
What did we watch next? Am I actually going to have to bend down and find my phone?
Yeah, you're going to have to since you dropped it. For those viewers who are wondering why I kept checking my watch earlier, it's not because I was bored, it was because I just had a software update and it keeps buzzing.
That was fascinating. The next thing that we watched was my favourite thing I've seen on TV in a long time, and that's The Traitors. This is a reality TV show that ran on the BBC just before Christmas. I'd been seeing people talk about The Traitors on Twitter. I thought the way they were talking about it, that it was a thriller or a drama or some sort of detective show or something. I didn't quite know what kind of TV show it would be, but I didn't expect it to be a reality TV show hosted by Claudia Winkleman.
I didn't like how good it was. It was really unsettling for me because it's obviously a reality TV show that's sort of preying on I don't know what the word is, sort of expecting people to behave terribly and putting people in a deliberately very stressful situation to see what they could do. It's like, you describe it like that and it's like, hey, it's Big Brother's back, but it's a game now. But it really wasn't. It was actually incredible and everyone was lovely. This
reality TV show takes the contestants who are just like average people and puts them in this Scottish castle where they have to vote one person out every episode. And then among these people, you don't drink tea.
Ugh.
Why did you do that? Why did you do that? In the nearly 13 years I've known you, you've never drunk tea.
I don't. It's not very good.
I'm glad we've got a record of this.
I don't know why you would. You've got to try stuff, you know.
Yeah, I know. But I think you being English, you've probably tried tea in the past.
So The Traitors, my takeaway from it was that they were, Claudia Winkleman specifically, she keeps getting them to do these horrible things and she keeps being sort of really mean to them when they're getting into the circle, just little mean things here and there, but actually they're all just lovely about it. And It's a triumph of wholesomeness over Claudia Winkleman.
She had this sort of persona where she was like the lady of the castle, waltzing around this castle, going, one of you is going to be murdered tonight. And then she'd go, but not right now, so how about we have a nice glass of wine? It was an incredible show. It looked really good. The Scottish castle in the Highlands is a beautiful setting. Then Claudia Winkleman looked incredible as well, so I was looking at
Good
her a lot.
soundtrack.
Amazing music in the UK version, not the US one so much. And then the contestants were all people that you feel like, you know, like they were genuinely just average people who were thrown into this situation where they had to be horrible to each other and where they had to backstab each other, and they all became paranoid so quickly, and that was so compelling to watch.
What's weird is how many people sort of, I guess everyone did at different points, sort of forget they were in a game and they were taking sort of the idea of there being a traitor as a personal slight against them.
And the traitors themselves, who at the beginning were so gleeful about it, they're like, haha, you know, rubbing their hands, they walk around with these hoods, holding little lanterns, being evil. And then by the end of the episodes, they are so conflicted and guilt-ridden because it's a game, but it's a game for real money. So every time they murder someone, they deprive that person of the chance of winning £100,000 or whatever. It's so cleverly done. It's incredible to watch. If you don't watch reality TV shows, you will still want to give this one a try. We absolutely inhaled that show. Watched a few episodes of the US version. It's not as good.
Yeah, don't bother with that.
Because the Americans, they game it too much. The British people got sucked into it and they actually started becoming friends and being real to each other, and the Americans are too cynical about it, I think.
I'm going to give it 8 stars.
8 stars. Well, I'm going to give it a 12 out of 10. The next one's one where we're going to say the title perhaps once and then not mention it again, because I do not want this video to get demonetized. The rude word we're going to say is the name of the Netflix show that we've just finished watching, and that is called Sexify. We watched this on Netflix, and there's 2 series out. The second series just came out, but we started from series 1. And it's a Polish... Is it a comedy drama? How would you classify that?
Coming of age comedy drama about sex.
About... Shh, because we can't say it on YouTube.
It's easier to talk about hate speech on YouTube than it is to talk about romance. It's weird.
Not that there's a lot of romance in the show. But yeah.
Human connections.
Human connections. Okay, so this is a show about 3 young women who develop an app that is supposed to enhance human connections for women in particular. It sounds like a pretty sort of awful concept, and in a way it is, but there was something quite compelling about the show that made us watch both seasons pretty much straight through.
It was one of those things that's like, it's just a silly waste of time and quite fun.
Yeah.
There's no
depth to it.
No.
I don't know if the show was trying to make a good, like, a sort of deep point about feminism. If it did, it didn't quite get there. The concept is, as it sounds, 3 students trying to make a sex app. It was a show that tried and didn't quite get there, but it got there enough to keep us watching. The 3 main characters were really good, I thought. They had the nerd, who is the one who develops the app and doesn't know anything about not just sex, but people altogether. Then there is the sort of business lady who is a rich kid who doesn't really have control of her life.
And
then,
useless Catholic.
And the third one, my personal favourite, the useless Catholic, who doesn't contribute in any way at all to the app, but is also the most interesting character.
It was good. The only thing I would say, if you do want to go and watch it, is learn Polish first. Some of the English dubs voices are not the best.
No, the acting is all clearly very good, and where they've had good voice actors for the dubbing, it's pretty seamless, you know, it's not jarring. But then there are some characters where I don't know if they ran out of budget and they just asked the sound engineer to do it or what, but some characters are not voiced well in the English dubbing. Overall, 5 out of 10?
I'll rate it a Greg's.
Greg's is really good.
Yeah, but when I rate it Greg's, out of High Street.
Yeah.
You think of all the eateries you have on High Street.
Yeah.
And I rate it Greg's. I think that explains very well what it is.
But Greg's is the best thing on the high street.
It's not.
What's better than Greg's?
KFC, Five Guys, an actual restaurant. The point is...
Oh, and you can't have an actual restaurant in there.
There are actual restaurants
I'd
on High
have
Street.
Greg's over a KFC any day.
Yeah, well, I'm the one rating it. It's cheap and it's trashy, but it's tasty. It will satisfy you and you'll just want more of it.
Yes. I think that sums it up pretty well.
So we're giving Sexify a Greg's.
You give Sexify a Greg's. I'll give it a Subway.
I don't think Subway's as good as Greg's.
Well, neither do I. The next thing we watched is something that everyone on my Twitter timeline watched, and that is Glass Onion on Netflix. This is a movie rather than a TV show.
Glass Onion Knives Out. Or...
Yes. I saw that Glass Onion was out and everyone was watching it, and then I saw that it was a sequel to a film called Knives Out from a few years ago. So we watched that first, and then we watched Glass Onion. But we'll talk about both of them.
I love Daniel Craig in this because he was just having fun. He's like, I've been James Bond, I've done the hard roles. I'm going to have a nice time in a silly accent.
I have not seen any James Bond film. I don't think I've seen Daniel Craig in anything ever, so I don't know what his standard thing is. But I cannot imagine him doing James Bond like he did Benoit Blanc, the detective in this.
No, he's obviously got range.
So I have absolutely no feelings about Daniel Craig one way or another, but I really liked how classic mystery these films both were. Both of them felt like they might have been modernizations of our Agatha Christie novels or any other sort of classic detective story. It's got these very contained settings with a very defined set of suspects and a very unlikely explanation for how a murder takes place. Everyone has their secrets that come out throughout the course of the novel. The detective is there and knows everything. The detective is absolutely infallible in these types of stories, and then he also gets a sidekick, a different one in each of the films, but both of them were also just really fun.
I thought that it was very good. As you say, the sort of the classic murder mystery was good fun. It was one of those things you could try and guess along with. Both films were actually good fun. There's no continuity between them. Benoit Blanc is already the legendary retired detective at the start of Knives Out, and continues to be the legendary retired detective.
I don't think he's retired.
He's not retired. Oh, okay.
In Glass Onion, he's just bored because of COVID.
Oh, that's it. I like that as well. That was a cool setting.
Yeah.
Okay, so he's the legendary detective, and we don't know what's made him legendary. We don't know his history. We just take it as read that this guy, his name sounds a little bit like Poirot, so he's Poirot. Let's just go with it. Don't worry about it. Yeah. It's the same in both films.
The people who made the film clearly absolutely don't try and hide the fact that this is supposed to be taking inspirations from these classic stories. So if you enjoy those, you will absolutely enjoy the Knives Out films. And I hope that there's many, many more. And I like Benoit Blanc as the detective that we don't really know much about. He doesn't really matter as a character. He's just sort of, he's fun to look at because he wears incredible outfits. He sounds fun because I don't know what Daniel Craig is doing there with the English language. And he solves the mysteries.
I think he's doing his best.
Are we rating Knives Out and Glass Onion separately?
Nah.
I'm going to rate both of them 9 out of 10. I really did enjoy them a lot.
Given the names of the films, I'm going to rate them Victorinox.
You don't know any other knife brands, do you, Bill?
Amazon Basics.
Next up, we watched Our Flag Means Death, which I think came out last year, but it was only on the BBC this year. Our Flag Means Death is a
great waste of some of the best comedy talents of the US, the UK and New Zealand.
So this is it, right? As a comedy, I didn't think it was that funny.
It was fine. It's the sort of show that puts Guz Khan in an extras position. He's barely did anything. You've got these great names, these great actors, and they're not really utilised properly, except Rhys Darby, who was really good, but he was really good at doing his Rhys Darby thing that he does.
Okay, see, so I have absolutely no connection to any of these actors. I've seen like 2 episodes of
Flight of the
Conchords. Didn't like it all that much, sorry. Some of the songs are fine.
Yeah, I've watched all of Flight of the Conchords, and it's the same thing. The guy from Flight of the Conchords gets a boat.
So as a comedy, I didn't think it was that great. But then, about halfway through the episodes, it became a drama, and then I thought it was really good.
It was better at doing the drama stuff, yeah.
You have like this romance between the pirates, which I thought was really well done. You have this plot of this guy escaping his horrible past as a rich landowner. Mm-hmm. I mean, don't think too much about it. The jokes were not what made this interesting. Neither were the special effects. Mm. It was really violent at parts.
There were occasional bits of violence, yeah.
Like the guy got his finger hacked off.
Yeah.
Ugh. You say the supporting cast weren't utilised as much, but it was very much an ensemble piece, wasn't it? You had the whole pirate crew.
Maybe. It's like there were bits of it that were ensemble and bits of it that weren't. But it's not really ensemble in the sense that Rhys Darby is obviously the main one. If you're a fan of Rhys Darby, you'll have a great time.
Yes.
Or just generally gay pirates.
Yes.
They're all very gay.
All of them.
It's incredible. I also like that they have a non-binary character and it's just they, them pronouns all the way through and no one bats an eyelid and it's just fine.
It's very wholesome, considering it's so violent. It's very wholesome and nice, and you kind of like all of the characters, but you really hate the villains. So it's quite black and white in that way, except for the end. But we're not spoilering in this video.
There are points where characters will do things that feel like they're kind of out of character.
Because if you have a comedy show, then the characters are all completely overdrawn caricatures. And
they are.
Yes, and in a comedy, in a proper sitcom, they act out of character if the plot requires that, right? So they will do things for the joke. Our Flag Means Death is trying to straddle that line between comedy and romance.
And drama.
And in the romance and the drama, both of those things have to be driven by the characters. And when there were inconsistencies in those parts, it felt a bit weird. I think this is one that I want to watch the second series of. Mm-hmm. Assuming they make one, because it ends on a bit of a cliffhanger. But probably rated a 6 out of 10. Or a 5 out of 10.
No, I think it's 2 full skeletons and a torso out of 5.
2 full skeletons and a torso on a pirate flag? Or in a closet?
No, out of 5 skeletons.
Skeletons?
Yeah.
I see.
So it's not quite a 3, it's not quite a 2.
Yes.
It's right in the middle. It's
yeah.
alright. Mm-hmm. There's another show we watched that also had a contrast between comedy and drama.
Oh, the next one on my list is The Last of Us. That's not what you're talking about.
No, it's not.
Okay, let's talk about that one first then. The next show we watched was on Amazon Prime, and it's a show that I'm also going to have to censor. It's called Kevin Can Himself. And this is the series 2 that we just started watching. We've only seen the first episode at time of recording.
The premise of the show is that you have the traditional sitcom housewife, and the show is split between being very bright and colourful when the husband is around doing the terrible husband things that sitcom husbands do, but becomes very dark when she's on her own and she's dealing with what life is actually like being the wife of a husband who is crazy out there having these wild schemes but not actually doing anything useful for the household or for the marriage or for her. The concept is brilliant. That's a great elevator pitch for a show. I think that I love it very much. The first series I thought did it better because it had a lot more of the bright and colourful. The dark was there, but it was less. It felt like the dark was kind of on the side.
The dark was there to offset the light in a way, to bring that contrast into
It's like you could watch the bright stuff and you could have fun and you could laugh at all the silly stuff that Kevin was doing and have a good time with it and actually enjoy it as if it was one of those traditional sitcoms, and then very quickly feel terrible about yourself for having enjoyed that when you see what it's like from the wife's point of view, which I thought was wonderful. I enjoyed hating myself when it switched from light to dark. In this series, the way that it starts off with the darkness and there's a lot more of it, and when it moves into the light sections, it's kind of the other way around, and you come out of the dark into the light thing and you can't enjoy it, I feel, on the same level. You can't laugh at it and have a good time because you know what's going on behind it. That's, I think, deliberate from the show. That's the main thing that it's trying to show you at this point. We've only seen the first episode of Series 2, so maybe that does change a bit, but it feels like it's kind of flipped round a little bit.
Yeah.
And rather than being a comedy show with a really dark drama side to it, it's a really dark drama that occasionally tries to show comedy in between it, and that way round I don't think works.
I do, and that's because I find this 90s sitcom style comedy kind of annoying anyway. So I'm happier that it starts off dark and gritty, and you've got the light bits that aren't really light in this series at all, because all they do is they serve to highlight the darkness that came before. It's a very gimmicky show. This is a show that is concept first, plot, characters, and everything else second. And the concept is shown not just in the writing and the actual plot and what happens, but also in the directing. So you've got, as Bill said, the comedy bits are not just brightly lit, but also the way that the cameras are set up is like a 1990s, specifically 1990s American studio sitcom.
Yeah.
So you've even got the studio laughter there, which I don't know if that was actually filmed in that setting with an audience or not. Then the dark bits, they really exaggerated the darkness. Suddenly everything is desaturated and blue and grey and green. The actor who plays the wife,
Annie Murphy.
you'll see her completely broken and desperate and hating everything. Then she walks through a door and suddenly you can see her putting on this act for Kevin, for the sitcom husband. But he is too narcissistic and self-centered to notice that something's not right with her. And he just goes on talking over her like he does, and also belittling her in that sitcom way. It's very self-aware. The last thing we want to talk about today...
We have to rate Kevin.
I mean, there's a lot of 6s and 7s. I think Kevin's a 7 out of 10.
What will I rate it? Cheeseburger.
Okay. You realise the next one you're going to have to rate as a type of mushroom.
I don't know any. I'm just going to rate it shiitake and we're done with it. Is that a good type of mushroom?
It depends on your opinion of the show. So the next thing we watched, and we've also only seen the pilot for that one, the first episode, is The Last of Us. And normally, Bill's and my tastes in television are very aligned, but also normally I'm the one who picks the things that we watch. I don't know if that's because you are more easygoing about it or whatever, but I think all of the things that we've listed so far, I've said, hey, we should watch this, or we should watch The Traitors, or we should watch Last Onion. But this one was one that Bill really wanted to watch.
It's the video game without having to play the video game. No, it is very good, I think, so far. It's
a dystopian, post-apocalyptic and dystopian, because there is a distinction there, which I've made a whole video on, which I'll link somewhere. It's a zombie story.
Yes, we've only seen the first episode, and the first episode matches very well with how the video game does it. Obviously, at the start of the game, there's a lot of exposition before you get into the shooty sections. And I don't know what they're going to do next. Because in the first episode, they cover the point until they leave the city. In the game,
you just go around killing zombies.
They're going to go through lots of different, like, rundown buildings and cities and shoot a load of zombies. I don't know how they're going to turn that into a TV show, but I'm looking forward to seeing that.
I love zombie stories when they're written down, but I'm quite sensitive about gore, and The Last of Us is about the edge of what I can handle in terms of bits flying off people and disgusting mushroom zombies.
I don't think we've been jump scared yet, have we? Not properly.
I wouldn't know, because I've been watching it like this. I've had my knitting there, and just every now and again, I look up and I listen to the dialogue. When something horrible happens, I focus really hard and I say, Bill, tell me when it's over. That's how I've been watching it. So I'm not enjoying it that much, but it is interesting enough that I will probably watch a second episode as well.
Like, it's so far it's gross and it's unsettling, but it's not
gratuitous.
No,
I don't think it's gratuitous either. It's just that I'm quite sensitive about gore when seen on screen. I don't mind it so much reading it, and I love a good zombie story purely for the fact that I can't look at it for much of it. I'm gonna have to give it a 4 out of 10.
That's really low.
I know.
Yeah. I think the story's interesting. I think the characters are really good, and I think I'm probably going to give it about 7.5 out of 10.
And what mushroom is that?
I don't know anything about mushrooms.
Yeah, I mean, I entirely understand that this is just my own personal sort of limits and whatever, and it is objectively a good show. So if you're not grossed out by a bit of shooting and blood and zombies and stuff, then I think you'll enjoy that as well. Actually, it's not just the gore that makes it hard to watch. It's also just like horrible. Like it's a really violent, dreary, drab, sad show where you can't get attached to any character because they'll probably die within the episode.
It's like what's interesting is how they rewrote it and edited it when the world had an actual pandemic. But you see, not only is the pandemic happens, which is awful, but obviously the government, at least of America, it's all very America-centric, we don't know what's happening in the rest of the world yet, the government has just completely failed. The Last of Us seemed more realistic when it came out as a video game, like a decade ago or whatever, you know? Yes.
So we'll continue watching that, and I'll be just not looking at the screen a lot. That's what we've been watching on TV. If you have any recommendations for us, drop them down below. Now you know our wild and varied tastes. Which, to be fair, we've watched a variety of things, haven't we?
There probably is a through line somewhere that we're not seeing.
I think we'll stop it there. Thank you for watching. Bye.